Hey guys, it's Exa and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another fun DIY home project, building a piece of furniture. So my best friend just moved into a brand new house and thus got a whole bunch of new furniture for it since he was no longer in a little apartment. So all of that furniture came in a ton of boxes. And I wanted to reuse this giant cardboard to make something really cool out of it instead of just throwing it in the recycle pile. So today I will be building a custom bar that is perfectly sized and painted for his new house as a housewarming present that he has no idea I'm making. And we will be using the cardboard and some scrap pallets that the furniture arrived on, as well as some other random scrap wood I had laying around just to help make sure it's nice and supportive. So as you can see here in my basement, there is a ton of cardboard boxes, which is going to be great because building a bar is pretty big and we're going to need a lot of layers and large pieces in order to make this look presentable. So here's a palette that a dresser arrived on that we will be using for the base of this, as well as creating kind of some structural support beams using the scrap wood that was in my garage. Yeah, this is even some like old trim from the basement. And the one thing that I did purchase for this project was these really cool slate tiles, and that's going to be the bar top. And to help strengthen this, we will be using some of our simple Elmer's glue mixed with water to create a paper mache paste and attach some tissue paper to kind of smooth out all of the edges and make it a little bit more. And last but not least, I did pick up some new paint so that way we can paint the whole thing a lovely green color to complement his house. Alright guys, so to start for this design, I did make the top of the bar where the tiles are kind of my starting point, so that way I didn't have to cut or trim any of those tiles. So that means I ended up with one that was 70 inches long and 24 inches deep for the overhang on the top. So now here is the footprint of the base. As I did say, it was going to be smaller. I'm only going to go 18 inches deep on that, which is exactly how much I need to be able to fit Joe's mini fridge underneath it. And then 60 inches long, so we have that same overhang around the corner. Now for the supporting pieces, as you see, I kind of broke the top one into 4 sections, and that's roughly where I put the other direction support beams across, just to help keep everything stabilized and sturdy. And then I did put vertical stripes on all 4 corners to connect the top to the bottom. So now that we have figured out the design and the size, I'm going to cut all of the wood pieces and assemble all of the framing together. As I did mention, I'm using a whole bunch of random scrap wood, so stuff is different thicknesses, different widths. It's really just a hodgepodge of random stuff. Although I will say here that I didn't show earlier is I did end up getting 2 2x4s to make that bottom framing, just because I was worried about the weight of having a full 100-can mini fridge in here. So as you see here, I am assembling the base out of those 2x4s instead of the thinner kind of like trim scrap wood stuff that I'm using for the rest of the framing. So here for the top edge of the bar, I do have the pieces measured out, so there are 2 beams that line up perfectly with that bottom base, so that way when we attach the vertical supports, they'll all line up. And then there is one more that's offset a little bit outside, and that is for the little overhang area that I designed to go on the edges. And I'm just adding some support braces in the other direction to help make this thing really sturdy and stable. So once I have this all attached together, the next step is to just put the top onto the rest of the frame, which I didn't film because my phone died. But here is what the finished framing looks like. So adding the cardboard siding is completely for aesthetic purposes. The framing is the supporting structure. So I'm not super worried about making the cardboard any kind of structural support. It's really just to cover the frame and give it sides. So obviously I cut each piece and then lined them up so that way they would fit nicely on all of the sides. And I used my staple gun to just staple all of the seams into the wood on the different edges here. Don't worry, we will be adding some paper mache onto it to kind of even out those corners and make everything a little more sturdy, but this is just to get the main framing put together. So I did the back and the sides first, and then I went through and added the dividers on the inside edge here, so that way it would have 3 distinct sections like in my original design that I created. Again, I just attached those onto the wood framing, so you can see here attaching them at the bottoms and the tops, and again I'm not worrying about those inner corners. So for this top edge here, I wanted to make a little lip that went high enough so that way the stone wouldn't slip and slide around the top. So as you see here, I just lined it up around the edges to make that nice seam all the way around, just a little bit above the wood base there, so that way there would be a lip holding on to the stone tile. So as you can see here, it does end up being flush with the stone, which is exactly what I wanted here, and I did that all the way around the sides of the bar. So when it is all finished, it ended up looking something kind of like this. Again, looks real janky, but don't worry, up next is paper mache. So to make my paper mache glue, I did use just some regular old Elmer's all-purpose glue and put that into a plastic container, and then mixed maybe like a third amount of water to the amount of glue that I added, and then just mix that all up so that way it would be strong glue but thin enough that I could spread it on with my foam brush. So now I'm just using my glue and adding it around all of the corners, and then taking small pieces of my tissue paper ripped apart to kind of cover across and seal in those seams. Again, it doesn't have to be super pretty yet. The first layer is really just to get the structure of the corner, and then we'll add some more layers on top to kind of smooth all of it out and make it even and pretty. So basically everywhere that there is a seam in a corner from cardboard or wood meeting together, I am going to cover that in my layers of paper mache. And once you've gotten all of the outside edges done, then it is time to work on the inside edges here. So again, I'm just sealing all of these layers, and I did end up doing 2 to 3 layers across all of these areas. I figured I didn't need to film me doing all of this because it took a really long time actually. But yeah, I'm just covering all of the seams and making sure everything is nice and sturdy together. So as you can see, I went all the way around the bottoms, and then we're going to go all the way up the tops and across those top edges as well to make everything nice and even and look like a finished piece of furniture from the inside as well as the outside. So when it was all finished, it looked something like this, and I did have those clips on there to help hold 2 layers of cardboard together while the paper mache was drying, but yeah, every surface is covered in paper mache and nice and smooth in all of the seams and corners and edges. Okay, so since Joe's house, all of the trim is white, I decided to paint the entire inside and rim around where the tiles go on the top white. So yeah, this also took a really long time. I just went through and painted every single surface white. And I ended up doing 2 or 3 coats across the whole thing to make sure everything was nice and evenly coated with the beautiful white paint. So once I finished with all of that, I did make a pseudo trim around the bottom edge white as well, so that way it would match with the like floor molding on his house. So I just painted that bottom edge here white as well, all the way around the 3 sides. And then I just used like a cardboard template to get the height even across it, and then went in with the green, so that way I had a nice crisp edge between the 2 seams, and it makes it look like there's trim on it, but there really isn't. So once everything was painted, it ended up looking like this, nice and pretty with this lovely olive green. Alright guys, so I'm going to attach some of these hanging wine racks to the inside here, kind of like this. Now we do need these to be attached to the wood and not just screwed in the cardboard, or they may fall down. So I'm just going to flip them over upside down on the front here and make sure that I will have enough space to be able to screw into wood, and then measure the distance from this front lip to that screw hole to make sure that they're lined up the same. I also got a wine bottle holder. Again, it's going to hang upside down, so I'm just going to position some wood in here so we can attach it in the middle of our middle section here like this. So we're just going to again line up and drill some holes to attach all these boards. Alright guys, we are now on our way to Joe's to surprise him with the new bar. I hope he loves it because it took me a really long time to make, and let's see what his reaction is. So I have a present for you in the back of my truck.
Greetings.
Okay.
How you doing?
Hey, good, how are you?
I built you a bar.
Nice
What?
yard.
I built you a bar.
Really?
That's what my cardboard and wood project was.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Alright guys, so here it is in its new home. I think it turned out perfect in color and size, and it even fits all of the different sections perfectly, which is what I was hoping for.
Yogurt parfait sour, how about that?
Sure. Joe the bartender. So guys, as always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was super fun to make, and I'm really glad that Joe loves his new bar. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any upcoming videos. I will be posting a lot more again in the future. I know I said that last time and then I didn't post for a month, but my laptop got infested with ants, and I had to eradicate ants from inside of my computer, which seems crazy, but here is a picture of it for proof. So until next time, I hope your day is as beautiful as you are.